All right, guys, good morning. Welcome to a new video. Today, we're going to be going over pretty much just an update on what we talked about yesterday. Overall, not a lot of movement just yet. I still have all my limits set on Bitcoin and on Ethereum, right? Especially the area that we were looking at yesterday. It is still this area of supply right here. Unfortunately, we're just not getting tapped where we want to be getting tapped, right? You can see that bearish controls here, right? Sellers stepping into the market, failing to break lower. So I really do want to see just a sweep higher, right? Like I don't want to try to chase this momentum lower because there's nothing really there to chase, right? We want to make sure that we have a high probable area to actually go short, and doing so right now off the get-go isn't really the smartest thing to do. Neither, let's say, getting in on any form of imbalances or whatsoever. So my limit is still at that 61K flat, right? With my SL above that high right here, right? The local high on the H4. And then I really want to just target the 58 level. So it's a nice 3RR trade, as you can see. There's really nothing wrong with the risk parameters and the high, which is isolated as your stop loss. So all of these things right here are just really good signs of a really high probable trade that could arise in these markets. But other than that, you can see that these lows right here and these lows right here, I want those both being taken out, but preferably, right, we want price to just go higher, run this high, run that high, and trigger us in. You can see the ideology behind this, price acting as some sort of support, breaking the support, turning into resistance. And that's what I'm betting on, right? That's that VWAP, that average kind of smoothing in here. So I really hope that we get that this week. That would be really, really nice. Then we would be 2 for 2 overall trading Bitcoin for the last 2 weeks. So really, really clean price action when it comes to sitting on our hands, patiently waiting for the right setup and not trying to trade all of this chop right here. There's no reason for me to go into H1 right on this consolidation. You can see how low volume all of this is. This is exactly what I annotated as well during the weekend. This period of prolonged consolidation just showcases us that there's not a lot of volume to make our way down just yet. But here we open up yesterday and you can see that there's actually a little bit of movements, which is quite frustrating because we just want price to go higher to then go lower. You can see in the DOM, right, the order book here as well, the depth of market, you can see that there is more sell side sellers kicking in. As you can see here, the sum is bigger. There's less delta here. There's more people trying to sell across all exchanges here, and buyers are failing to absorb the prices, forcing it to go lower. Obviously, if buyers can't absorb the price here, that means that buyers will be stepping in at lower prices, trying to absorb that momentum that there is coming from these highs right here, a price kind of rolling to the downside. But it isn't a good sign for our trade, right? It isn't a good sign for our idea. Nevertheless, there's not really much that we can do about it. If we take a quick look at, let's say, the higher time frames, you can see that the overall vision is still very much intact. There's no real play for us to do aside from the one that we've got at the moment. I still, in the short-term future, obviously want to get back to the 70K. But I think we first go like into the low 50s, maybe even sub 50K, before we can really close that gap, right? You can see here when we dropped from nearly that 98K all the way to that 60K, you can see that it took us nearly 3 months, right, to get 50% of that range, right? So if we were to take this high and this low and find equilibrium of that high and low, you can see it took us 3 months to do that. And if we were to do any type of, let's say, cyclical pattern, you can see if we were to take the high from 85K right here to the low right here, it would take us roughly up until somewhere like August, right, to potentially get equilibrium. And that being said, we can obviously go to 50K, and that 70K would still be around that EQ point, around that equilibrium. So that falls very much in line with my overall hypotheses, with price going lower first, and then going higher. Those are the type of trades that I will be heavily invested in. Let's say the 50K going higher. That's where I will start buying in Bitcoin, anticipating that pullback move. And then obviously if we get around that 70K, I will then be repositioning and rebalancing my buy side into sell side and trading into the lows, right? Because let's be completely honest, for this current cycle, I believe that it's not over yet. At least the downside, we're not going to just bottom out at that 50K. You can see that wick right here, 49K. There's no reason for us to bottom out there. It's not as if that is the bottom that suddenly breaks us going to 81, that breaks us going to 90 and all that good stuff. I highly doubt that that's going to happen. So I do believe that if we were to pull back to 70K, we obviously will reposition ourselves into further downside into, if you really zoom out and we look really big time frame, and we just understand technical price action, there's nothing stopping us from going into that 49, right? That 50K flat, and the low from way back, right? Which is 40K flat, right? We want to kind of chip away at this in increments. Like, when would the next big super cycle happen? And that's not even something that I really want to speak of, because there are zero signs of that at the moment. Like a run like this, where we went from 75K to all-time highs, right? 125-ish. That type of run can only happen after a period where we created a gap first to the upside. So, in order for us to really flip buy side, we need to understand that we need to have created buy side imbalances. There's no reason for us to even think about breaking, 82K until we've created some sort of real buy side momentum on at least the daily time frame. And we have failed to do that ever since the start of this year, right? January started off with that big boom, movement all the way to the lows. So there's very, very little chances for us to really create buy side momentum to really tackle that. So yeah, that's kind of my update on a Tuesday. You need to understand that we also have NFP on Thursday. So we have an early NFP. So when it comes to, let's say, indices and currencies, lots of volume is off of the markets up until then. It is also obviously the end of the month, right? Halfway through the year. So lots of portfolios are rebalancing their positions, and obviously the high risk hedge funds that deal in, let's say, ETFs or whatever in Bitcoin are obviously rebalancing their portfolios as well. So take that into consideration, that the volume is low. As you can see here in the DOM as well, there is a significant lack of volume. So that could be a good thing, right? If sudden buying power does come in, we will get that sweep in a much shorter time span. But how it looks like at the moment is that price is just stagnating for a really significant amount of time. So it doesn't really seem like there's any real buy side momentum that's going to kick in anytime soon. So take that into account. We're about to go into the second half of the year tomorrow, and that's something that we want to take into consideration as well with doing anything in line of buying at 50K, buying at 40K. Those are the type of numbers that we really want to get positioned in, but we first need to get there, right? So it's wishful thinking, a lot of wishful thinking. I think that's kind of the whole summary of crypto at the moment. There's no real point in going into Twitter. It's kind of the same as yesterday. So if anything happens, I'll keep you guys updated. And the positions are loud and clear. And I'll see you guys tomorrow on the next daily crypto video. And let's see if we can actually get a trade in this week. to bring our strike rate to 2 for 2. That would be amazing.